Hi guys, and welcome to a battle between the mighty, proud Lizardmen and the even mightier and even prouder Dowie. Of course, I'm going to be in control of my favourite faction, the Lizardmen. We're going to be up against Logic in one of his favourite factions, which is the Dowie. So as you can see, we are playing on a rather sneaky map with all this forest on the right-hand side, where I've deployed most of my army, fearing some of that long range from the Dowie. That's going to be a little bit tricky to see my army, but I will try my best. So for the front line, we have a mixture of red-crested skinks and Saurus warriors with shield. These guys work really well in unison together. Also see we have the cohort of Sotek here, the regiment renowned red-crested skinks, as together they can break through almost any kind of Dowie infantry line. They can struggle up against mass longbeards, or say mass ironbreakers, for example. But overall, they tend to trade fairly effectively. Now we also have 2 units of the Cold One Riders in here, not the spear version. We don't need any anti-large. They're just there for their extra mobility, helping us to break into that back line, and they have a decent amount of armor piercing themselves. We also have 2 units of Kroxigor, so one there and one over here. Now these guys are going to be the real damage dealers. Now they have tons of counters. Thunderers are really good against them, Slayers, all sorts of nastiness, you know, Iron Drake, Trollhammer torpedoes, but they still do so much damage against the little dwarfs, so if you can get them in there nice and safely, they will do some work. In the back, we have a Skink Priest of Beast, who I think is pretty damn decent in this matchup, so we've gone for Transformation of Kadon. An extra Flying Beast is always useful and always great value, especially when you're trying to shut down range tools. We have the Curse of Veneer as well, just decent all-round spell. And also have gone for the Amber Spear, which is surprisingly good against Dowie because they're so tightly packed formations. If you can hit them down the flank, even though you're doing magic damage, it will tear apart fools. We also have Wyson's Wildform. Now for our Lord, if I am able to locate him, here he is, hiding in the trees. We have the mighty Gorok, who I think is pretty damn good in this matchup. Now that I've seen this map, if I knew we were playing on this map beforehand, I might have brought a Slann maybe to give Bronner's Time Warp to the front line and really turn those guys into straight killers. But overall, Gorok, super tanky, should be able to duel most Dwarf Lords fairly comfortably. Now, just to sum up the rest of our army, we do have 2 units of Chameleon Skinks hiding over in the distance. Now, these guys are fantastic against Dwarfs because the Dwarfs just can't catch them with basically anything. The fastest Dwarf units, obviously, apart from things like Gyrocopters, are Slayers and so forth. These guys are perfect for Slayers, and that is why you bring them. Trying to snipe out those unarmored Dwarfs, snipe out artillery crews, and all that nasty stuff. They have poison and, of course, are very, very fast. Let's have a little look at my opponent's build. So he's gone for a very kind of classical dwarf build here, going for a very defensive approach on top of the hill. That's a very risky play, being on this side of this battlefield, simply because I can march my forces up the trees. Maybe over here would be better, but over here he does get the advantage of the hill, and he still can shoot as I emerge from the forests. So for the front line, he's got 2 units of miners with blasting charges. Very good if you can get those blasting charges on the skinks. They can get great value. And he's gone for, looks like 4 units or 3 units of longbeards and 1 unit of the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. Really solid infantry there. We'll be able to hold for absolutely ages against, you know, red-crested skinks, Saurus warriors, pretty much anything. There's 1 unit of Thunderers in the middle, not a bad pick, should be really good at taking down those big dinosaurs. And a pick I really like, and I like to take myself, is 2 units of Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes. These guys will absolutely roast any of the big dinosaurs. They will destroy Temple Guard, you know, use your longbeards or miners as kind of a blockage. When you've got all those nasty dinosaurs all blocked up, you then just pound them with these missile launchers and they get fantastic value. However, they are very small unit sizes, only 21, and if they get, you know, they've got a lot of armor, but if they get hopped on by Kroxigor or even Cold One Riders, they can die very quickly. In the back, he has 2 units of Slayers, one of which being the Dragonback Slayers, the Regiment Renowned version, which have an extra slow and some nice extra little abilities. Nice pick here, you always need some Slayers up against the Dino Boys, and 1 cannon. But the most interesting pick, without a doubt, he has gone for Gotrek Felix, the mighty beast. Well, not Gotrek Felix, so I think Felix is his friend, isn't it? But Gotrek, I actually really like Gotrek. I think he's very expensive for what he does. You can always get, you know, Slayers instead. Rather slow and whatnot, as he is a dwarf, but he is an absolute beast and should be able to duel Gorok very effectively. I quite like him being used as a bodyguard to protect his Rune Lord here. And if we can see, it looks like he has brought Master Rune of Negation, Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, Gatekeeper's Belt, Forge Fire, and Master Rune of Grungy. So overall, quite a nice build. Let's see how it gets underway. Now we're going to speed up a little bit as I slowly emerge from the forest. As you can see, the Chameleon Skinks are moving up to be a bit of a pain. So my opponent does realign his army, realising that I'm simply going to walk through the forest here. which is a good idea. He still has a decent amount of range if I emerge from this section. However, I'm going to be trying sneaky and move up when possible. So as you can see, we're getting some nice early shots in, trying to pepper down these Slayers. Now, for some reason, I wasn't doing too much damage, and I think it's because of the way the hill is, that I'm actually firing a ton of shots over, you can see, but still getting some decent value and dragging these Slayers out of position. Looks like I'm going to try and bring them back, but then I'm simply going to shoot them in the behind. The rest of the army has moved up, and I'm trying to get there as quickly as possible, wrap around and get a nice form along here. We're going to be sending the Cold One Riders up a little bit further down to this section, just waiting on that opportunity. If we can drag these Slayers out of position with the Chameleons, we can pop in on top of that very tasty cannon. At this point, I don't believe I had seen Gotrek, so I thought if I get rid of the 2 Slayers, we should be good. Now, the Thunderers are trying to trade some fire of the Chameleons, trying to protect those Slayers, but overall, Chameleons, massive missile resistance. I'm not too worried about these little Dowie right here. And as you can see, we are slowly getting some decent value. And there's a nice little box formation come up, very standard Dowie geometry, and we are starting to emerge from the forests. So we're leading the charge here with the red-crested skinks, which isn't what I necessarily like to do. I prefer charging with the bigger units to take those blasting charges. However, we've managed to hit a side with just long bits, so we should get a nice little charge animation here as the cohort of Sotek, representing Sotek in all of their glory, going roaring and charging into battle with their giant maces. And they have some very cool attack animations. This boy getting very excited and smacking a Dowie around, but getting a shield in his face for his efforts. So getting some nice swings in that. As we can see, the fire is starting to come in from these Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes, but obviously not the best target skinks for them, but still, damage is damage. So we're going to move in the swords up around this flank, knowing that they'll be able to crush the miners quite quickly. We're going to try and overload these little miners here. So of course they're very squishy miners compared to normal Dowie. So the Kroxigor can be rampaging in, hopping on top of these guys, trying to batter through them as quick as possible so I can open up a pocket into these Iron Drakes. Over on the other flank, see Red Crest Skinks not doing too bad against Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, and we are going to be summoning a Manticore in the back to put pressure on these ranged forces. So Chameleon Skinks shooting into back, still doing damage to Slayers, but a lot of shots seem to be going over. As you can see, the Cold One Riders have started to spring their trap, floating around this side. My opponent very wisely bringing some Dragonback Slayers over that side, but the frontline engagement is going pretty good. We can see Felix in the Gotrek, in the distance, going for a nice little charge, and these Saurus Warriors have been, their charge has been disrupted. But once they get in against these miners, it is going to be game over for them. Manticore does hop in the back on top of these Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes. Can see we have 2 units of Longbeards who have decided to react to that, so they should be trying to save those guys as quick as possible. Slayers scaring off some cold ones, and over in the distance we've got a big old mosh pit on Gotrek right here. Gorok has popped all his buffs and he just starts wailing on Gotrek here, doing huge damage as long as all those buffs are popped. Now, some Kroxigor have managed to punch through this pocket of miners right here, and have got back onto the Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes, trying to shut those guys down. So we have a nice lot of disruption in the back here. Some Saurus have broken through. We have the Feral Manticore doing decent damage to these Slayers, but they're holding the line, protecting this cannon. But it looks like they have thought they were being really clever here. So what they've done is he's spied my little skink, but he's hoping that I haven't noticed. He's decided to pull out the Slayers, try and hop on him and get a nice easy kill. But luckily I have managed to notice this. So my Cold One Riders, who now at the moment do have Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin on them, but that is about to disappear, have noticed this little gap in the Dowie box. We're going to be charging, hopping top on that cannon and trying to shut it down as quickly as possible. To capitalise on this, we've also summoned a Feral Manticore to once again put extra pressure on this back line while these Slayers are distracted. And the Slayers in the front line, Dragonback ones, are doing some decent damage to Kroxigors, but apart from that, they're fighting Red Crested Skinks, which isn't where they want to be. Now, Gotrek has put a wailing on Gorok. After that initial burst, Gorok hit a wall that he could not get through. So he's going to be pulling back and retreating, and we're just going to surround Gotrek with Red Crested Skink, Saurus Warriors, and all sorts of nastiness, just to try and pound him down with sheer numbers. And in the back, our little plan has worked. The Slayers realised, but a little bit too little too late. We've hopped on the cannon, completely shut it down, and these Slayers are simply going to get chased around by Chameleon Skinks, who are doing some very good work there. Then the back, he's trying to retreat with some Thunderers and Iron Drakes, perhaps get a second firing position. But those Cold One Knights, once they've got that opening, I'm going to let it go. So they're just going to be popping on now, chasing down these Thunderers and hunting them down as Chameleon Skinks escort 1 unit of Iron Drakes off the field. So it looks like we have a unit of broken Longbeards. Gotrek still fighting bravely in the massive mosh pit here. But even the mightiest Slayer, I think he's going to get a worthy end, surrounded, by angry, nasty dinosaurs. but he is indeed going to be going down there, and there he disappears. Ferroman's Court chucking it into a terrible position just because, as you can see, it is about to disappear, as summons do not last forever. So he just chucks himself in, does some damage towards Dragonfire Pass, and then pieces out. Chameleon Skinks still doing that fire to the Slayers, and as you can see, the battle has kind of devolved into two fields of battle. We have one over here where we have some Slayers and the Dragonback Slayers just find Saurus Warriors and cohort of Sotek Red Crested Skinks, not people they want to face. Whereas over here we've managed to get Cold One Riders, Red Crested Skinks completely surrounding some Longbeards. And the real key here, we have some Kroxigor, who also happen to have plus melee defense, although they don't really need it in this fight, and Gorok have surrounded the Rune Lord, and another unit of Kroxigor have escaped that mosh pit of Slayers and is hopping back to help deal with the Longbeards. Apart from that, we're simply chasing down all his Iron Drakes and Thunderers and all that with the 3 Cold Ones. So overall, the battle is currently going quite well in my favour, but there's still some big tools available. These Slayers need to get on and shut down these Kroxigor, and hope that the Rune Lord survives to assist these Longbeards in the long, grindy fight it would become. But we still have Chameleon Skinks firing, constantly doing that damage and that poison lowering their stats. And this Rune Lord is a very worried dwarf right now. I would not want to be this guy. I wouldn't want to face Gorok, let alone him with a bodyguard full of Kroxigor, who look like they have gone up a chevron. And the Rune Lord is in fact shattered and is running for the hills. And with that, army losses do set in. These Longbeards couldn't take the Cold Ones combined with those Kroxigor, and it is just going to be the brave Slayers who will get a fitting end. They're fighting big nasty dinos and legendary heroes, so they should go very proud to their ancestors, although a lot of them unfortunately did die to little poison blow darts, which of course isn't the best way to go, especially for a mighty Dowie warrior. So just going to speed things up here and show the last little Slayers. They're back to back, they're fighting strong, fighting side by side with friends, but it is not going to be enough, and Kroxigor are going to pound them into the dirt. Let's see how many are left now. That is going to be game, so a nice close victory. I think this is a fairly even matchup. I think there's tools for both of them, but I think it slightly favours the Dowie. However, I've been experimenting with Lizardmen builds, and this is one I've come to which I actually really like against the Dowie. A mixture of Saurus Warriors with Red Crested Skinks can work quite nicely. You'd think you would just go Red Crested Skinks. They're cheaper, great armor piercing damage, but they really struggle to things like blasting charges and so forth. So having those Saurus in there to take those shots can really help. Chameleon Skinks, fantastic at just basically annoying Slayers and annoying the opponent, forcing him to micro, forcing him to waste bullets into something where you can't really do too much damage because they're massive missile resistance. The Cold Ones, I quite like. I'm not sure what one of the units did. One of them got into the back, 43 kills on all the nasty Iron Drakes and Cannon and Thunderers and so forth, so some great value there. And the Kroxigor just pounding through that front line where they can, forcing those miners to fall back and retreat, and then hopping on top of the range units. Gorok, only 1 kill, but he was super tanky, did a ton of damage to the Rune Lord, a ton of damage to Gotrek. Overall, I quite like him in this matchup. With a map like the one we just played, possibly a slant to bring Brionus Time Warp just to turn those Saurus and Red Crested Skinks into absolute lawnmowers and just tear through the Dowie. But he's a really risky pick, very large, can easily be sniped up by cannons and so forth. For my opponent's build, I quite like it. It's fairly similar to what I bring, to be honest. I would probably cut the Thunderers and add another couple of units of Miners. Maybe cut Gotrek. Maybe not. I mean, he was quite decent in this matchup, but he just got surrounded by Red Crested Skinks. And Lizardmen players aren't really going to bring many large tools to deal, for Gotrek to deal with. That's what he's there for. He's an anti-large, beast. But Lizardmen players, at least the experienced ones, aren't going to bring big dinosaurs against Dowies. It's just not an effective tool. But overall, very nice, solid build. Got a little caught unawares maybe by the forest, and as soon as those Cold Ones managed to get in the back line, it was game over. But overall, very well played to logic there. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing and all that good stuff. We are quite a small channel still, but we are growing. Got over 113 subscribers or something now, which is pretty damn crazy. So, this may be the only video for this week. Normally we do 2 or 3 videos a week, but I'm going home to celebrate a late birthday of mine. So I'm not going to be around, basically. I won't be near my computer, but we'll try and get a video up hopefully Fridays when I'm coming back, but then I'll be working over the weekend, so maybe no more videos till next week. But normally you can always expect 2 to 3 videos, so please do subscribe, like, all that good fun stuff. And if you want to see anyone, comment down below and I will happily play any army. Peace, guys. Stay awesome.